Can I say, first of all, thank you so much to everyone for coming here today. And thank you to Bradford University for giving us this space this morning and had a lovely conversation with Professor Brian Cantor, the Vice-Chancellor of the University. And I think this university is a great place, going great places. Thank you very much for giving us the space this morning. And thank you to everyone in Bradford and indeed all across Yorkshire over the campaigning over the last few days. What a fantastic welcome we've had. What fantastic support we've received. And so many people tell me so much about the hopes they have in our manifesto, in our plans, in all of us. We intend to deliver on those hopes and on these plans. And thank you to Brian, Mohammed and Christine for what you just said and the bravery with which you spoke about your own problems and demons, because I am determined that we will deal with, address and confront the issues of the mental health crisis facing this country so people don't face it and suffer alone. Thank you for what you said this morning. I also want to say a big thank you to all those that contributed to our manifesto, those in our teams in the Labour Party head office, in my team, that put such amazing amounts of work into producing a very good manifesto in a very short space of time. Well done to all of them, and thank you to all the different society groups, civil society organisations, so many others that sent in really good ideas to us which have helped to frame our thinking and frame our ideas, and of course the members and affiliated trade unions of the Labour Party. And I also want to say thank you to the party's national executive for the huge work they put in on this, and a very deep appreciation to all my colleagues who are here today in our shadow cabinet. They've put enormous amount of work into upholding their briefs, into getting a message across, into contributing to our manifesto. And if you look at our shadow cabinet, you see experience, you see diversity, you see age range, you see people whose life experience is rooted in real life experience, who will never forget that when they're holding great offices of state to deliver for the people that put them there. Thank you very much to all of my colleagues in the shadow cabinet. And of course, it's an absolute pleasure to be here in Bradford to launch this manifesto for the many, not the few. Because Bradford University had a chancellor for a long time, and a great chancellor he was. He was Harold Wilson, a former Labour Prime Minister. Who, whilst not born in Bradford, saw the strength and the values of this fantastic city. And Harold, as Prime Minister, did so much to expand university education and make it accessible for all. And his greatest legacy, I believe, is the Open University and the access that gives to everybody to go into higher education if that's what they wish to do at any stage in their lives. And so I think today we're setting out a manifesto to transform the 21st century in the same way that Harold Wilson in the 1960s sought to transform the 20th century. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here today. This manifesto is a draft for a better future for our country. It's a blueprint of what Britain could be and a pledge of the difference a Labour government can and will make. Like thousands of other Labour Party members, I've been making the case to people across the country over the last few weeks. This is a manifesto for all generations. We're providing hope and genuine opportunity for everybody. I say to our children, whatever the postcode you were born in, we will make sure you have the same chance as every other child. And I have to say, as the days turn into weeks, as this campaign's continued, opinion is changing and it's moving towards Labour. And actually, there is no secret as to the reason for that. Because people want a country run for the benefit of the many, not the few. That's because for the last 7 years, our people have lived through the opposite. A Britain for the rich and the elite and the vested interests. They've benefited from tax cuts, bumper salaries, and millions have struggled at the same time. Whatever your age or situation, people are under pressure, struggling to make ends meet. Our manifesto is for you. Parents worrying about the prospects of their children and anxious about the growing needs of their elderly parents. Young people struggling to find a secure job and despairing of ever getting a home of their own. Children growing up in poverty. Students leaving college burdened with debt. Workers who have gone years without a real pay rise and stretching family budgets just to survive. Labour's mission over the next 5 years is to change all of that. Our manifesto sets out how, with a programme that is radical and responsible, a programme that will reverse our national priorities and put the interests of the many first. We will change our country while managing within our means, and will lead us through Brexit while putting the preservation of jobs first. Let me highlight just a few of our key pledges, and believe it or not, you may have read them already if you're an assiduous reader of newspapers. We're ruling out rises in VAT and national insurance, and on income tax for all but 5% of the highest earners. Labour will boost the wages of 5.7 million people earning less than the living wage to £10 an hour by 2020. Labour will end the cuts in the National Health Service and deliver safe staffing levels and reduce waiting lists. Labour will scrap tuition fees, lifting the debt. And that will lift the debt cloud from hundreds of thousands of young people. Labour will move towards universal childcare, expanding free provision for 2-, 3- and 4-year-olds in the next Parliament. Labour is guaranteeing the triple lock to protect pensioners' incomes. And we will build over 1 million new homes, at least half of them for social rent. Labour makes no apology for offering new protections to people at work, including ending the scandal of 0 hours contracts. And we make no apology for finding the resources to hire 10,000 new police officers and 3,000 new firefighters. And we will do the smaller things that can make a real difference, like ending hospital car parking charges or introducing four extra public holidays every year. But we in the Labour Party recognise that dealing with and solving these problems requires a thriving economy, one that gets our economy working again and rises to the challenges of Brexit on jobs and investment. For 7 years, the Conservatives have been holding Britain back. Low investment, low wages, low growth. Labour will move Britain forward with ambitious plans to unlock this country's potential. We will set up a national investment bank and regional development banks to finance growth and good jobs for all parts of the United Kingdom. Through the funding of major capital projects. Labour will also invest in our young people through a national education service focused on childcare, schools and skills, giving them the capacity to make a productive contribution to tomorrow's economy. And Labour will take our railways back into public ownership and put passengers first. We will take back control of our country's water by bringing them into regional public ownership. And we will take a public stake in the energy sector to keep fuel prices down and ensure a balanced and green energy policy for the future. The Tories now want to scare us into accepting more of the same. Only Labour has a plan ambitious enough to unleash this country's potential. And only Labour has the plan to make Brexit work for ordinary people. We are clear there is now a choice. Labour Brexit that puts jobs first, or a Tory Brexit that will be geared towards the interests of the City of London and risk making Britain a low-wage tax haven. As we leave the EU, because that is what the people have voted for, only Labour will negotiate a deal that preserves jobs, access the single market, and preserves rights and access, not plunge our country into a race to the bottom. All this is costed, as the documents accompanying our manifesto make very, very clear. Our revenue-raising plans ensure we can embark on this ambitious programme without jeopardising our national finances. We're asking the better off and the big corporations to pay a little bit more. And, of course, to stop dodging their tax obligations in the first place. And in the longer term, we look to a faster rate of growth, driven by increased private and public investment to keep our accounts in shape. This is a programme of hope. The Tory campaign, by contrast, is built on one word: fear. What would another 5 years of Conservative government mean for Britain? Just look back at the last 7. More children living in poverty. Fewer young people able to buy their first home. More people queuing at food banks. Fewer police on the beat. Fewer firefighters too. More people are in work, but they're not getting the pay or the hours to make ends meet. More young people in debt. Will the Tories change their spots? Don't bank on it. Their record says they won't. The Prime Minister will disagree, of course, so I say to her today, in the most polite and friendly way possible, come out of hiding and let's have a debate. Let's have a polite, respectful debate on television so millions of people can make up their own minds about which party offers better hope for Britain. Let's debate our 2 manifestos. Have the discussion. I'm confident that once the people of this country get the chance to study the issues, look at the promises, they will decide that Britain has indeed been held back by the Conservative government. They have prevailed over the many for far too long. And that they will decide it's now time for Labour. Our country will only work for the many, not the few, if opportunity is in the hands of the many. So our manifesto is a plan for everyone. Have a fair chance to get on in life, because our country will only succeed when everyone succeeds. This message is for everyone in this country, be they young, be they middle-aged, or be they old. We want that inclusive society that cares for all. And as I said at the start of my speech, we are determined that a child's future is not decided by the place of birth, that a child's future is not decided by the underfunding of their primary school. A child's future is not decided by the poverty of their community. A government that invests for all. A government with a vision to ensure that the brilliance and imagination of every child can be fulfilled during their lifetime. Our proposal is a government for the many, not the few. Our proposals are of hope for the many all over this country, and I'm very proud to present our manifesto for the many, not the few. Thank you very much.